Fox News alert. President Biden is in the air right now. He's heading to India, wheels up, where top world leaders are gathering for the G20 summit.
That's right. And the president is expected to strengthen ties with foreign leaders as the United States looks to counter China and at the same time, with all those world leaders, boost support for Ukraine.
And even walking up steps, everyone keeps their eyes on the president. Peter Doocy will, too. He is live in New Delhi, India, with the latest. Peter.
And polls are finding that back home, President Biden's policies are very unpopular. So to try to get him reelected, his team is starting to focus on just one thing, one moment from his first term so far, that quick trip he made into Ukraine.
In the middle of a war zone, Joe Biden showed the world what America is made of. That's the quiet strength of a true leader who doesn't back down to a dictator.
And maybe foreign policy will decide the election after all, because in a new CNN poll, Nikki Haley, the former UN ambassador, is the Republican polling the strongest against President Biden. Biden's also in this poll trailing Pence, Scott, Trump, and Christie. Then he's tied with DeSantis and beating Ramaswamy. 2/3 of Democrats are saying that they wish they had another Democrat to choose from. Just 1/3 of people in the president's own party say they are happy with President Biden on the top of the ticket.
The numbers are looking rough for President Biden. We've been talking about it all morning, and the fact that it could be a troubling sign for Democrats and the president's hope for re-election in 2024.
There is no way to spin this. CNN reads the country's mood right now and finds that America is deeply unhappy with Joe Biden.
58% of Americans say that Joe Biden's policies have worsened economic conditions. That's a majority there. 55% of Americans, a majority, believe Biden's actions related to the Hunter Biden probe inappropriate.
Oof, problematic new polling numbers out this morning for President Biden. The CNN poll finds his approval rating sinking to just 39%.
The leaders that are going to gather here in India want to talk about climate change. They want to talk about investing with the West instead of with China. But most of that is going to have to wait until tomorrow, because when Air Force One lands here in about 90 minutes, after coming all the way from Washington, D.C., President Biden will have a short meeting with the Prime Minister, the host, Modi, and then he's down for the rest of the day. Back to you.
Hey, you know, Peter, the one thing about India, they are ally and they're critical. Obviously, they have huge problems with China like we do. But the problem is India is tight with Russia. They're buying the discount oil, sustaining the war. And they're also a member of that new BRIC alliance, it seems. Do you think these things will be brought up?
Yeah, it does seem like it's going to be brought up, and particularly when the negotiators start going around the table with the 20-plus leaders trying to get them to sign on to a joint communique at the end of this, because the whole point is to show that the G20 is united against the big problems facing the world. And we heard from the Treasury Secretary overnight. We heard from Jake Sullivan aboard Air Force One. They're not so sure that they can get all 20 representatives on the same page about these issues, like with the war in Ukraine, for example. Right. The U.S. would love to put everybody down on paper as condemning Russia, but there are a lot of members that are just most worried about the high prices of grain, and so they might not want to rock the boat. Stuff like that is going to be a real challenge over the next 2 days here.
I bet. So the president is heading your way, Peter. Speaking of challenging, I know you arrived about 12 hours ago or something like that. Have you ever been in a time zone where you're on the half hour? Because it's 8:08 here in New York City right now, but it's 5:38 right now in New Delhi.
Yeah, I'm not going to adjust my watch. I'm just going to be a half an hour early for everything all weekend.
All right. Peter, thank you very much. You're going to be there all weekend, and then you're going to go to Hanoi as well. A busy week for you. All right. Peter touched a little bit on those CNN montage of people talking about the alarming numbers. When you look at Joe Biden's approval rating right now, he is at 39%.
Wow.
And 61% don't like it. Then do you think Joe Biden's policies have improved or worsened economic conditions in the United States? And take a look at that. About 60% say worsened, 24% improved, 20% say no effect at all. And the biggest concern of all the people, Ainsley, who they talk to about these painful polls for Joe Biden, the biggest concern mentioned was his age. 49% said, what's your concern? His age. They said it was his age. Yeah. Followed by only 7% said his mental acuity, 7% his health, and 5% said no concern. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.